Hi there, it's Kimmy from Scrap Therapy. I wanted to show you today how to make this beautiful cottage country rose that's here on this project. I did this as a class and they are wooden blocks that are 3" by 3" and I have a friend who cuts these up, and then I painted them, we hot glued them together, and then put on this beautiful Moncherie paper line by Kaisercraft. And to finish it off on the top, I wanted to have a big country rose, and so I made this one. And I wanted to show you how to make the rose. So let me just set this aside and we'll get started. So to make the rose, you need to use a polyester fabric. So I went to Fabricland and picked up just some plain satin to do this country rose project. So from there, you're going to cut it into strips of about 2 inches to 2.5 inches. I don't measure it, I just cut all the way across the width of the fabric. And so most fabrics are 35 inches wide, I think. So then I get a strip all the way across that's 35 inches doubled, right? Because there's 2 sides to the fabric, and then it's about 2 to 2.5 inches in width. Okay, from there I take the piece of fabric and I accordion fold it back and forth. So each accordion fold is, I'm gonna say 1.5 inches. Yeah, about, well, actually even closer to 2 inches. 1.75 inches to 2 inches is each fold. So I'm gonna fold over once, and then I've got a second accordion fold and a third one and a fourth one. So I'm gonna actually just stretch that out a little bit so they all fit across. Okay, great. So now I'm gonna take this piece and I'm gonna just cut it with my scissors. And so I do like 3 or 4 folds at a time, whatever my scissors can handle cutting through. And so I'm gonna just do a little bit of a loop, kind of a, not a loop, what would it be? It's a scallop. So I'm gonna just do the scallop here. Now if I didn't get all the way down or close, then I'm just gonna use my scissors and I'm just gonna cut down here. Now I wanna leave just a little bit of an edge here, like connecting the scallop to scallop, so that when I open it, it's almost like those people paper chains that we used to make, right? That go back and forth and back and forth. And so I'm gonna just slit down these sides just a little bit, keeping this edge intact so that when I open it, I have a scallop like that. Now you can see my bumps are not perfect and they're not even really pretty. They're really kind of goofy, but it won't matter once we start to heat this. So by doing that and having the 2 pieces of fabric, I now have 2 pieces of scallop at the same time. If your scissors are really good and you can do a whole bunch of layers at a time, that's great. Saves you from gluing and connecting when we get to that spot. Okay, so now I'm gonna just throw that one aside and I'm gonna show you. I use a acrylic board or some kind of a mat just when I'm doing this, just so that I don't wreck my table. I'm gonna use my heat embossing gun and I'm gonna use some tweezers, and the tweezers are just to hold the satin here, and there we go. So I'm gonna just take the embossing gun and just right around the edge of my scallop, I'm gonna basically burn the fabric or melt the fabric, and it's going to kind of scrumple it up. It finishes the edge for us, so it doesn't matter if I didn't cut it perfectly straight, because it actually finishes it and seals it so that it won't fray anymore. And at the same time, it kind of scrunches it up so that it looks very pretty and vintage. So I'm going to do that along the edge of all of these scallops. I also do just a little bit in the middle of each scallop so that it kind of has a crinkly ruffle middle section as well. It also helps just to kind of pleat up the center so that when I go to glue this together, it's a little bit shorter in here, right there. So you can see that was pretty easy, just using a hot embossing gun and just like that. So I do a whole bunch like this in strips, and then I also do some just singles. And the reason I do the singles is that I like to start with the singles when I get my rows going. Okay, so I'm going to use, I want to find one that's smaller. So actually this is a good one. And I take a little bit of glue, just put a little glue, hot glue in there, and then just kind of scrunch that together, kind of roll that together. So kind of rolled it inside each other, and take a little bit more glue and wrap it around and pinch that together. So I've kind of created the very center of my rose. Okay, now I'm going to take some of these other petals that are a little bit taller, and I'm going to offset petals. So see how this is open and there's a petal in the back? So this open is where I'm going to put the middle of another petal and just push that together. Okay, so now I have that. And if I feel like this one is too tall in here and I don't like it, I can come back with it with the embossing heat gun and just heat it up a little bit and burn it, and basically it makes it just a little bit shorter for us. Okay, and now I'm going to take, so I've kind of got it started, now I'm going to take the pieces that are on a longer line and start to put those on. So again, I have the petal here, this is the petal back, this is the full one. So on this side is where I'm going to add a new petal to fill in this front space. So I put the petal on there, just the center of it, and then kind of pleating and scrunching it up at the same time. And the hot glue gun gets on your fingers a little bit and mostly on the fabric, which is what we want. Okay, and I'm going to do that to this next one. And if I'm finding like I want the center to be here, then I can kind of pleat it over here on this side as I'm pushing this down, so that that petal will be in the middle of these two petals. So these two, and I want this one to be over here. So now I'm going to want this petal to be over here in between those two petals. You're going to use lots of hot glue for this. So again, just going to put the middle there and then kind of pleat and push. So what I don't want to do is take the fabric and wrap it around tight, tight, tight. I'm pleating it as I'm going, and that's how we're going to get this really full looking flower when we're done. So you can see that this is an open spot here, so I need to put my next petal there. And I just keep pinching at the bottom and covering it up there. So now I have another piece that I've already pre-done that's super long, and I'm going to put my glue here, start at this end, and put that in the hole in between the two petals that I already had on there, so that I'm filling in back and forth with petals. And now as I start to get bigger and we're kind of stretching, I might not hit the hole on every single petal. I might be going a couple in between, and that's okay. Okay, so you get the idea. You can see that it's already starting to form. The flower is already looking beautiful. And by doing this technique, you can actually determine what size that you want your country rose to be. Because if I wanted and I was doing something smaller, I could almost stop in a little bit, right? I could have like a country rose bud and just stop right here. Or I can keep going and make this as big as I want to make it. So All right, so you get that idea. I'm just going around and around and around and adding those pieces. I have one here that I've gotten a little bit farther, just doing the exact same thing. Just keep adding and adding layers and layers. Sorry. So now I'm gonna just add a little bit more and then I will finish it off. Oh, and I actually started the wrong direction, but oh well. That's the way she goes. And I got glue on me. So you can see what I mean. In between petals, it's getting wider and wider. And so I'm fitting in more and more petals in between. And you can put the glue on the flower itself or on the petal. I find as I get going and the flower gets bigger, it's easier to put the glue on the flower. And at the beginning, it's easier to put the glue on the petal. You see how that petal fit in between these two? Just beautifully right there. So now I have a spot right here, so I'm going to go there with my next one. All right, so I'm going to look at the flower and kind of decide if I'm done or if I feel like there's maybe a hole in one of the spots. And that's where these extra ones come in handy again. So I can just go, you know, right here, right in this spot, it needs a petal. And just add one right there. And this one here is feeling a little bit long, so I'm going to heat it up and just shrink it down a little bit so that it's not sticking out so far. There, that's better. Seems to be the right height. Okay, so now I'm going to take, actually, I just want to take and put one more. I feel like it needs one more right here before I finish it. Cut that off. That's better. That's beautiful. So now I'm going to take a petal, just a loose one, and I'm going to just glue it over the bottom so that you can't see the messy gluey bottom that we've got. And I just use an extra petal for that. Put it right over top of there. Cover up any glue so that it looks nice and finished. And I am going to take and glue this onto a project, so you're not going to see the bottom, but just in case, I like to finish it off. So there it is, just like that. I've created this beautiful cottage country rose with polyester satin. So I hope you're inspired to try this technique. Please check out our YouTube channel, Scrap Therapy. You can also look at our website, scraptherapy.ca, and our Facebook page, which is Scrap Therapy Prince George. I hope you're inspired. Have a great day. Bye.